2025 Hyundai Ioniq 5N First Look Review, the enthusiast game changer. We've known for some time that an N version of the award-winning Hyundai Ioniq 5 was in the works as the Korean brand's first foray into high-performance EVs. But more than just demonstrating if the N division can recreate the same magic in an EV that we've experienced in cars like the Kona N and Veloster N, the Ioniq 5N also sets the tone for future Hyundai models. It competes against the likes of its corporate sibling, the Kia EV6 GT, and the Ford Mustang Mach-E GT, and in doing so, it bolsters the growing ranks of a fresh segment, driver-focused performance EVs. The hottest new electric crossover hatch with 601 horsepower, and more at the touch of a boost button, a dedicated drift optimizer, launch control, and a DCT simulating an e-shift system doesn't so much arrive on the scene as it comes in sideways in a cloud of tire smoke. And we can't wait to get our hands on it. When is the 2025 Hyundai Ioniq 5N coming out? Although its global debut occurred at the Goodwood Festival of Speed in the UK in July 2023, the release date for the Hyundai Ioniq 5N in the USA is set for March 2024, when it arrives as a 2025 model. 2025 Hyundai Ioniq 5N price and competition. While the price of the 2025 Hyundai Ioniq 5N is unknown at this stage, it'll probably be a little pricier than the Kia EV6 GT, which currently costs $61,600. We expect a starting MSRP of $63,000 or thereabouts for customers in the USA. As mentioned, rivals will include the Kia as well as the Ford Mustang Mach-E GT. The Ford begins at around $60,000 and costs $5,000 more with the Performance Edition package that puts out 480 HP and 634 lb-ft of torque. New Hyundai Ioniq 5N exterior and colors. Few cars blur the lines between crossover and hatchback more than the Ioniq 5, which is defined as the former but actually has the proportions of a spacious hatch. That's no bad thing since a hatchback-style body more naturally lends itself to a sporty design than a crossover, and besides, the standard Ioniq 5 is already one of the most unique designs on the road. The exterior of the new Hyundai Ioniq 5N crossover comes with the expected N flourishes, but these have been updated for this model. This includes contrasting black trim, an N-mask graphic fascia with functional mesh, an air curtain, and active air flaps up front for more effective brake cooling. A lip spoiler highlights the broad stance of the car, and it's accented in the new luminous orange strip that is exclusive to this model. This also runs along the side skirts, where the distinctive creases make prism-like shapes that set this car apart. The headlights are thin U-shaped designs that evoke a muscle car look underneath the low brow line. A wing-type spoiler is mounted at the rear, and a triangular brake light is integrated into it. The rear diffuser and air outlets are aerodynamically functional as well as being aesthetic, and the luminous orange accent strip carries on the N theme here. The tail lights are slim, dual rectangles on each side. Lower down below the hatch is a black bumper sporting checkered flag motif reflectors. 21-inch forged aluminum wheels wrapped in high-grip 275/35R21 Pirelli P0 tires fill the slightly flared arches, and conspicuous orange brake calipers are visible through the geometric design. The Ioniq 5N couldn't look more performance-oriented and futuristic if it tried, and among its rivals, we think it's by far the most striking. Hyundai tells us that the exterior colors for the Hyundai Ioniq 5N will include performance blue in both metallic and matte, abyss black pearl, cyber grey metallic, ecotronic GRA, and atlas white, both in metallic and matte, as well as gravity gold matte and soultronic orange pearl. Hyundai Ioniq 5N dimensions. The dimensions provided for the Hyundai Ioniq 5N show that it's almost an inch lower, less than 2 inches wider at the bottom, and over 3 inches longer than the regular model, thanks to the N couture it's dressed in. Thus, the length of the Ioniq 5N comes in at 185.6 inches, the width at 76.4 inches, and the feisty N car stands 62.4 inches tall. The Ioniq 5N's wheelbase is the same as the regular version at 118.1 inches. As far as curb weight goes, the heaviest Ioniq 5 currently comes in at over 4,600 pounds, and the 2025 Ioniq 5N is unlikely to be any lighter than this. Hyundai Ioniq 5N powertrain and performance. When performance is the name of the game, the recipe has to be precise. And Hyundai's N division has historically added equal parts technological expertise and motorsport experience, harking back to WRC successes, to the mix. To this end, the new Ioniq 5N comes with dual motors with specs of 601 horsepower and 546 lb-ft of torque, 641 HP and 568 lb-ft when N-Grin boost is engaged. Hyundai claims 0 to 62 miles per hour in 3.4 seconds using the boost function, add 1/10 without it. The new Ioniq 5N crossover will ascribe to the three performance pillars that the brand uses to craft its N cars, namely, corner rascal, racetrack capability, and everyday sports car. To create a cornering champion, the 2025 Ioniq 5N has been developed with 42 additional weld points, almost 7 feet of extra adhesive, and reinforced battery and motor mountings for increased lateral rigidity. Its integrated drive axles are inspired by WRC experience and will allow the car to manage more torque from the electric motor while reducing unsprung mass. The steering response has also been improved thanks to a strengthened steering column and a specially tuned rack-mounted motor-driven power steering setup with a higher steering ratio. The N pedal function addresses the heft of EVs that usually negatively affect handling, too. This provides instant turn-in by prioritizing quick cornering over efficiency. In terms of trackability, the 5NS battery can be preconditioned before you even attempt a launch, getting it to optimal temperatures for time on track without overheating. N-Grin boost allows the electric motors to spin up to 21,000 RPM, improving acceleration by power increments of 10 seconds, and N-launch control provides 3 different traction levels for the quickest, and most entertaining, starts. The drift optimizer will help to maintain drift angle in real time by balancing vehicle controls depending on driver inputs. It also offers a torque kick drift function to allow the driver to simulate RWD clutch kick in a conventional gas-powered vehicle. The 2025 Hyundai Ioniq 5N also comes with an ELSD at the rear for improved cornering performance, with wheel sensors and enhanced damping for a wider performance range from the electronically controlled suspension. Torque can also be distributed front and rear across 11 levels via the N-torque distribution function. Worth noting is that the N-tuned brakes are the most powerful braking system from the automaker to date. It comprises 15.7-inch front discs with 4-piston calipers and 14.2-inch rear discs made from lightweight materials and optimized for cooling. These work together with the regenerative braking system for excellent stopping power. The N-brake regen setup is bespoke for the Ioniq 5N and provides 0.6 G deceleration, which Hyundai states is industry-leading. The Ioniq 5N comes with so much N-specific tech that it may seem overwhelming, but the automaker promises it's still an everyday sports car, too. To ensure you have fun on regular roads as well as the track, the Ioniq 5N comes with the N e-shifter that simulates the 8-speed DCT we know from ICE N cars, providing a satisfying jolt at each gear change. At the same time, the N active sound N system provides an audible reference for the driver to gauge power. It uses 8 internal and 2 external speakers with 3 distinct sound profiles, the familiar 2.0 TN engine sound, a high-performance whine, or a twin-engine jet fighter soundtrack. Range, charging, and battery life. Hyundai has not yet announced range expectations for the 2025 Ioniq 5N, but we can't imagine it will be overly impressive since the focus is fully on performance. The Kia EV6 GT, for example, only has a 206-mile range and a combined MPGe figure of 79, significantly less than the most efficient EV6's 117 MPGe combined. What we do know is that the Ioniq 5N has an 84 kWh battery, which is the highest capacity battery ever in a Hyundai EV. It's much larger than the biggest 77.4 kWh battery on the top-end regular Ioniq 5, which comes with an all-electric range of around 266 miles. We're hoping the N model's bigger battery will result in a minimal range penalty. The battery setup in the Hyundai Ioniq 5N is compatible with 350 kW charging speeds to take it from 10% to 80% in just 18 minutes, and it also starts charging immediately after being plugged in, thanks to plug and charge, which negates the need for an app or card for authentication. The battery can be prepped for track use via the N battery preconditioning system that selects the most efficient temperature for either drag or track settings. Additionally, N race mode can prioritize more racetrack range via the endurance setting by limiting peak power, while sprint will give shorter bursts of energy for ridiculously quick takeoffs, at the price of reduced range. Hyundai Ioniq 5N interior and cargo. The interior of the Hyundai Ioniq 5N follows the sporty aspirations advertised on the outside. We're told the interior of the Ioniq 5N will be similar to other N vehicles with N branding on the seats, door scuff plates, and pedals. The steering wheel gets the N logo for the first time, though, and there are N buttons on either side of this for customizable drive modes. These can be set to the whims of the driver. The N Grin Boost button is located at 3 o'clock for quick and easy access to bursts of power, and there are paddle shifters for easy use of the N E-shifter and N pedal regenerative braking. The cabin is largely focused on the driver and the driving experience, with the pedals thoughtfully placed for optimal foot contact in track driving, oversteer, drifting, power slides, and when 2-foot driving is in play. Even the footrest supports spirited driving, and the center console comes with knee pads and shin supports. If that doesn't indicate how often drivers are expected to throw the car around corners, nothing will. Seats inside the Hyundai Ioniq 5N follow a similar trend, with the N buckets equipped with reinforced bolsters and installed lower into the floor than regular Ioniq.